Okay, here we are, final review, part 5, page 5. Moving right along. We're up to number 23, which is the factor questions. It's in the factor group. So what we have here is a trinomial, x squared plus 5x minus 24. And the instructions are to factor it, which is a lot. That was chapter 4, big time. So you look at that thing and say, you should always look for a common factor first, just to make things easier. Is there a number that can come out of each one of these things? No, or an x. Like, I'm looking at the first one, the only thing that can come out of there is an x. There's an x here, no x here, so that basically means can't do anything with this in terms of common factoring. So your next bet is, well, let's see if we can do one of those reverse FOIL jobs. And this is indeed a reverse FOIL, where you look at that and say, how do I do this? And the way I go about it is like set the table first. And the table is a set of two parentheses. Chances are we'll be able to find a FOIL problem that makes that. And then, so you're thinking FOIL, so we're looking at the first. And in the first, in order to get x squared, it's got to be x times x. Next, I'm going to look at that sign, because I'm really looking at the last spots now. That's why I call this FLEO when I think backwards here, trying to figure out the FOIL to make this, because I look at the first and I look at the last. First to sign, the only way you can get a negative, if it's plus and minus. No other way. You could say minus and plus too. It's the same difference. So, and then you got to look at the factors of 24. 24 is a good number in some ways. It's good because it's rich, has lots of choices. It's bad because there's lots of choices, so you have to go through all of them. And if you just systematically, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. So 4 pairs. And since it's a plus-minus deal, that means we're going to be like taking the difference of those factors to get that minus or plus 5x in the middle. So I'm looking ahead. 3 and 8 seem like the deal because when I plug them into here, I'm going to put I'm just going to do it wrong first. I'm going to put the 3 and 8 in without really thinking, although it's always good to think. And what that does is, so you work it out. Again, I know I got an x squared in the front. I know I got a minus 24 in the back because that's the numbers I picked to put in there. Whether the inside and the outside, whether this and this, the other half of FOIL. Again, we got the first, we got the lasts. Now we're looking at the inners and the outers. And that gives you plus 3x. Notice how I changed the order a little bit. Minus 8x. We're almost there. Oh, that's minus 5x. We need a plus 5x. So we're so close. That's just, if you get the right number, wrong sign, just switch the signs. Or switch the numbers. But I think it's better to switch the signs, particularly for some later problems. So let's clear this up. And let's get some of this junk out of the way. It's a little hard to see. And I'm just going to keep those numbers in here. Make him plus, make him minus. And that ought to do the trick. And does it? Yeah, when you check it, you do your FOIL. Again, I know it's x squared. Then it's going to be plus 8x. That's the first half. And now do the second half. Minus 3x. Minus 24. And there it is. Plus 5x in the middle. With the x squared minus 24. So what's the answer? Be careful about this, because sometimes we lose track. This whole thing I did down here, this was just a check. The answer is going to be this factored FOIL thing right over here. So I'm going to just put big old square rectangle around that. There's your answer. It's a little messy, especially on this when I'm using my finger to draw the problem, but that does the trick. That doesn't look too good. Let me just make it look a little nicer. How's that? Does that look better? So there it is. Oops, I didn't put the end of the... There we go. We got to close that parentheses. So there you have it. let's see what the next one looks like. Well, here are number 24, another factor problem. Is there a common factor? No, no numbers coming out of all of them, and no x's coming out of all of them. So it's another double parenthesis one. Looks good. Looks like the last one. Looks like it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Set the table. Put in the first slots, x and x, and then figure out that sign. That sign is crucial to do that next. The only way you can get plus over here and plus in the middle is it's got to be plus plus. No choice. And the factors of 44 are 1 and 44, 2 and 22, oh, and 4 and 11. Now, I put them in, and the one that seems this should work, right? But that gives you 45 in the middle. Huh, so what I've seen people do is they put those in and say, oh, that doesn't work, but I can get 43 if I make this sign minus. That'll give me 43 in the middle, plus 43. But once you do that, you've changed the problem. Because back here, that's a plus. If you put a minus and a plus in there, it's going to be negative. So, can't be. You got to stick to your guns, as they say, with your signs. Try the different factors. So, 1 and 44 don't work. That gives you 45 when you FOIL it out. 2 and 22, that makes 24. Uh-oh, and that makes 15. The 4 and 11. So, this is a problem. But, you know, it happens sometimes. So 2 and 22 didn't work. When you FOIL it, you'll see you get 24x in the middle. And likewise, the 4 and the 11 doesn't work. That'll give you 15 in the x in the middle. If you don't believe me, FOIL it out. So none of them work. So what does that mean? This means prime. This is a prime trinomial. It's like a prime number, but it's an expression because it's got 3 terms. So what does prime mean? If you remember, the number 17, example of prime, the only factors are 1 times 17. That's it. Same thing with this x squared plus 4x plus 43x plus 44. The only if you're going to factor it, the only factor is 1 times itself, x squared plus 43x plus 44. So that means it's prime. Nothing else goes into it. So there you have it. That's a little bit tricky one, but it happens every so often. And in real life, it happens more often than not. But for the problems that we do, most of them work out nicely. Every once in a while, you get one of these thrown at you. Alright, let's look at 25. This is a beaut. And I say that because it's a nice one. It's a binomial. It only has 2 terms, but it looks like it's got the x squared a number with no middle term. So basically what that means is this one's special. And it's really special because, you know, you set the table on it, but the thing is to recognize is the only way you can get nothing in the middle is if the fronts are the same and the backs are the same. So how are you going to get the cancel in the middle? Plus, minus. If you just recognize that, so it's slightly different from the procedure you used in the earlier ones, but just look, it's like the square root of 9x squared is 3x times 3x. And the square root of 25 is 5 times 5. So it's just 5. So there you go. Anytime you see a situation like that, try, if you can get it to look the same except for the sign, that'll do it. And if you FOIL it out, that's what you get. You get your 9x squared minus 15x. Whoops, let's do that in the right color. And the other side, I did it a little backwards in terms of my thing. 5 times a 3x, there's a plus 15x, cool. And then the last one, the last piece of this puzzle is the 5 times minus 5, which is negative 25. So this is just to check. There you can see minus 15x plus 15x, and that's what you're left with. You get left in with that. So your answer is... There she is. with a little messy, but that's what you do when you check it. Make it messy. Alright. So 26 next on our page is easy compared to the ones we were doing, I feel, because it's the old stuff. Stuff we did in the first chapter, where it's just an order of operations problem, show your steps, which means don't just put an answer down here. You got to work this thing out, or just show your work. So, and that's what you'd be doing anyway to get the answer. So you look over, you do your parentheses first, 9. And this is okay to do it just like I'm saying. That's your first step. What's the second step? Looks like I got a minus and I've got a multiplication, because that's what's going on here. Let's multiply, of course. So you get 14 minus 4 times 9 is going to, or you can just bring down the minus, and that's a 36. All right, that was the second step. And then you've done your parentheses, you've done your multiply. Now just combine them. I got a plus 14 minus a 36. Signs are different. Subtract them. You get an 18. Is that right? No, that's not right. It's 36. Notice, like, I'm just going to do it like normal. 36, take away 14. Why, that's 22. So it's 22, and the who wins? Well, you know, I did it over here. I did it like a normal thing, but in reality, what we have here is plus 14 minus 36. But you subtract them, put the bigger quantity on top, and the negatives rule. There's more negatives than positives, so the answer is negative 22. Cool. Next. Another one I think that's fairly easy compared to the other problems we were doing. And this is just straight up again. Show your steps. Work it out. 13 take away 9. Let's do inside the parentheses first, because that's the way to go. 4. Got it. Next. Power. 4 squared. 16. And then just combine your numbers here. Straight up. Positive 26. That was fast. Let's look at 28 now while we're at it. So same type of problem. The only thing that makes this one a little trickier is you do your 4, bring down the exponent, and 4 to the 5th isn't quite as easy as like 2 to the 3rd you could do in your head. But 4 to the 5th, 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. You can just do that with your calculator. Or if you know your calculator, each one's a little different. You can actually do 4 and either use the y to the x button, 5, or 4, use the caret, 5. There's several ways to do exponents. And then the computer will just do it for you. And the answer is, I worked that out, 1024, or 1024. And then you do the last little bit where you add those together. 1031. Beautiful. And then, one last problem for this page, and it looks like this. This is a chapter 4 problem with the rules of exponents. And basically you look at this, it's all multiply and exponents. So you do your parentheses. Well, nothing's going on inside the parentheses that you can do with, but we know how to do we can take this 4th power thing and apply it to the squared. You got 2 ways to go. You can do the long cut, which is to go x squared times x squared times x squared times x squared. Write it out. You know, with the 3 hanging out in front. The 3 does not get to the 4th power in this case. If the parentheses was there, it would go to both of them, but it ain't. So, got that going on. So what I want to do is, and then basically that's x squared. That's the 2 added 4 times, which is x to the 8th. And bring down the 3. And there's your answer. Now notice that was the long cut. Whoops. Let's make that a little bigger. That's the long cut. And what I mean by that is we added the 2's 4 times. The shortcut is just to go, here, let's back it up. Boom, boom, boom. Just back it up. Just do. Instead of writing it out, expanding it, which is cool to expand it in terms of understanding what's going on. But if you just apply your rules, which says, oh, power to power, you multiply, the answer is 3 times x to the 8th. You get it a lot faster. Why not? And that's the end of page 5. Moving right along. Hang in there. And I'll see you in the 6th video.